Hi, I'm Phil Brock. This is Brock and Your Block, and today, well, we're at the edge of the Pacific Ocean in Santa Monica because we're on top, literally on top of the Santa Monica Pier. And I'm talking today with Jim Harris, who's the Deputy Director of the Santa Monica Pier, and who I understand has been immersed in the history of the pier and history of Santa Monica.
The history of the pier is my passion. I did write the history book about the pier.
We see the pier today, and we have the roller coaster and amusement park. We were talking about a small craft harbor and how there used to be fishing boats that would dock right over here. You know, the history of the pier is fascinating. It started in 1909.
1909. It actually opened on September 9th, 1909, which if you write that numerically, it's 9909.
Ah, okay. And so the pier has gone through many incarnations. And this arguably may be the most successful incarnation.
Absolutely.
Now, when I was a little kid, my grandfather used to come out to the edge of the pier and go fishing. We used to catch fish here to take home. My friends would ditch school at Samo High, and they would get on one of the boats, the half-day boats, and go fishing out there. And it was much more of a working-class pier.
It was, and there's still that element here.
Popeye.
Popeye, of course. Popeye was inspired, the cartoon character was inspired by a fishing boat captain at the end of the pier, way back in the day. You mentioned that you had friends that would skip school. There's a man who owns a business here on the pier. He owns the bait shop, and his parents may have regretted this, but when they showed him that the rail tracks that went by his school led all the way to the pier, he stopped going to school altogether and spent every day on the pier. But he's had every job of his life on the pier, and today he owns the bait shop.
That's
so
fantastic.
Magnificent.
The working class pleasure pier. A lot of fishing. There used to be a small craft harbor that preceded Marina del Rey here.
Right.
There used to be ballrooms. You know, I think I told a story on an earlier episode of Brock and Your Block about my father working down here as a bouncer for Spade Cooley's ballroom here.
Wow.
And my father actually, literally about a couple hundred yards west of where we're standing, was on an aircraft carrier that came here to launch the July 4th fireworks. July 3rd, 1949. He gets off the aircraft carrier in his dress blues, walks up to the top of the pier. My mother is at the cannon.
Okay.
She's walking down to the pier with her girlfriends to go dancing, and that's how they met.
That's fantastic.
And my father then settled in Santa Monica because he met my mother.
Great.
So I know there's 1,000 stories like
There
that.
are.
And I know that this pier is now considered one of the most Instagrammed spots in the world.
Yes, that's absolutely true. You know, and it's come a long way. I've been working on the pier since 1989. I started out as a bartender at the old Boathouse restaurant. And back then, we had maybe 2 million visitors per year, and the bulk of that were people who were using the pier as basically a bridge to get down to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
There was no West End, there was no amusement park. It had a reputation as being kind of seedy. And,
Pottery, yes.
Yeah. And in the years that I've been here, I've watched it grow into what it's grown now. And there are estimates that we're seeing between 7 and 9 million visitors per year. And it's safe. Everybody is in a good mood. You know, everybody who's here wants to be here. There's no real fear for your safety to be here, and it's open to everyone, and it's free. It's available to anyone. You don't have to spend a dime to walk on the Santa Monica Pier. And I think that's really been the great appeal, is that it is available to everyone.
Yeah. And look, the pier is an icon of Santa Monica, an icon of Southern California. Last year, the estimate was 7.9 million. Tourists visitors came to Santa Monica. I'll guarantee all 7.9 million walked the planks of the pier.
True.
And you have the Twilight Dance Series. We have events all year. In fact, I happened to stumble across a play that was happening here at the end of the pier last fall. And I understand you wrote that play and acted in it.
I did. The play is called Save the Pier, and it's not that the pier is in danger today, but 45 years ago it was in danger. The city was actually considering tearing it down. The city council had actually approved that idea in 1972 in favor of building a man-made island and a bridge to that island.
City Manager Perry Scott's Island.
City Manager Perry Scott's Island.
Yes.
And the community, realizing this was the last of the pleasure piers, but they'd become so attached to it, they didn't want to see it go. And so they literally took the fight to City Hall, and it was a long, difficult process. Residents
Because
became heroes.
you know what? They cared about their community, they cared about the city, and they cared about this long strip of wood.
Yeah.
And they successfully kept it.
They did.
Gave you a new job.
Exactly.
and kept you working here. But more importantly, the pier is a pleasure to share with everybody.
It is.
Tell me your top 3 historical stories, briefly, about the history of the Santa Monica Pier.
Sure. One of the top has to be that the pier was not built to be an entertainment or even a fishing venue. It was built to actually run sewage out into the ocean. It was a public utility when it was first built. We don't do that anymore. Not since the 1920s they dumped sewage into the ocean. But that's always a fun one for me. It was the first actual concrete pier built on the west coast of the United States, which made it special. Another favorite has to be the Manoa Paddleboard Club, and people enjoying themselves in the ocean during a very tough time for the world, the 1940s.
Right.
The Manoa Paddleboard Club, one of the most fascinating parts of the history of the pier. In fact, it only had a 10-year existence, but I refer to it as the pier's Camelot. It was during the Second World War, actually began in the late 1930s. Inspired by a 9-year-old girl, her father had entered her in a paddleboard race at Iona Creek against adults, and she took 3rd place. Light bulb goes off in his head. Got to do something to foster this kid's talent, so he built a paddleboard club around her, and that club became so popular that celebrities such as Johnny Weissmuller, Burgess Meredith, the entire Zanuck family, Daryl, and that entire family.
Junior, the whole bunch.
They were all members of the club. Colette Goddard. And also everyday folk like you and me. It was a public paddleboard club, so there was no outrageous fee to be a part of it. You just needed to have a love for the ocean and want to be able to play in it on these boards. And out of that, they created Paddleboard Water Ballet, which toured the country.
Paddleboard Water Ballet?
Water Ballet.
I would have failed at that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also Paddleboard Water Polo.
Okay.
So just an amazing time. And then by the time Dottie was 17 years old, she had left the club, and the club basically dissolved after that. And of course, the Save the Pier movement, which I wrote that play about. You know, the pier has some true heroes, and you could pick heroes out of any day and age, but I think the biggest hero the pier's ever had was the group of citizens who fought at City Hall. And there were a lot of them, but every one of them, that's like a badge of honor to those people, and rightfully so.
Now, were you here back when the fireworks occurred off the pier, or did you get here after that?
I was here for the last 2 years.
Of the morning or the nighttime?
The morning.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, all right, so the history of this pier, it just got too big, but the most wonderful thing about this pier was July 4th and having the fireworks explode off the edge of the pier. And it was a celebration of America, but all of Los Angeles became too big.
Right.
But it was spectacular. And I grew up, my grandparents' apartment house was on 9th Street, and we used to sit on the roof when I was like 5 years old on 9th in Arizona, and we could watch the fireworks out here. There were no buildings blocking it back then. And later, as I grew up, we would come down to the beach and come down here and see the fireworks. Probably the thing that gets missed most is the fireworks,
you know,
off the pier.
Every 4th of July, we still get tons of people coming down here expecting fireworks.
So next year, you and I should get out here in a rowboat and launch a couple of sparklers off the pier.
Well, you can do that. You may get arrested. But,
Yeah, there you go. The view from the front of the pier, this part of the pier, looking back at Santa Monica, on either side is wonderful. It's extraordinary. You really get to see the skyline. You really get to see our city. And coming to the pier, you get to see so many different people. The amalgam of the world are coming here to the pier to really share their experiences and just share their love of the ocean. You know, piers have this special mystique because you get to walk on water. And I think that's a great thing. Thank you so much, Jim. For Brock and Your Block, I'm Phil Brock. Have a great day in Santa Monica.